You'll make this rather snappy, won't you? I have some very heavy thinking to do before 10 o'clock.
All right, welcome into Greeny Sports Cards Live, the world's very first multi-stream for the hobby industry, because you may be catching us on a multitude of platforms. That could be Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, Twitch, a number of other points in between. We are live here 7 p.m. to 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And then, of course, we will replay and relive the show, if you will, relive the show from 10 p.m. to 11 p.m. on YouTube. Part of the Sports Cards Nonsense Network. Of course, we're presented by Collectibles on SI. My name is Jeremy Levine, the man about town, and that town is Cleveland, Ohio, near the worldwide headquarters of Greeny Sports Cards out there in Twinsburg. And we will welcome in the man himself here very shortly. We have a packed show for you tonight, as always. We try and bring you the latest in hobby news, and we will do that with Joe and special guests and influencers and athletes and show promoters and producers, and we have no shortage of that tonight. So without further ado, let's get into the rundown. So as I mentioned, after we bring in Greeny, we will get into hobby news and views with Joe Wismierski, our hobby insider. You can catch Joe on Cut the Nonsense every week, as well as Phoenix Sports Cards out there in the Phoenix area. And we'll talk to Joe, catch up. We will also talk to Matt Cook of Underdog Collectibles about his journey in the sports world and hobby world. Matt is down in Knoxville. There's a lot of action going on down there this weekend, of which we will get into as well. And Greeny will update you on the National Card Show. And then we've got a number of all points in between as well. Between the Nashville show, Chantilly, we'll bounce over to Columbia, South Carolina for Sports Wax Promotions. And then our featured guest tonight out of Phoenix, Arizona, or after Phoenix, Arizona, is Dan Bliss with Front Row Card Show. So lots to get to. Very excited to talk to both Dan and Matt, as well as Greeny and Joe. So let's go ahead and bring in the namesake of Greeny Sports Cards, Steve Greenberg, aka Greeny.
Hi, Jeremy, how are you?
I'm doing great, Greeny. These weeks are flying by. These shows are flying by. No shortage of entertainment and enthusiasm in the sports and collectibles world. Greeny, before we get into it tonight, I did want to tell you, Sundays are like a perfect day for pizza, right? You got football, you got action, weekends. Really, there's no bad time for pizza, but it was getting later in the day after the Browns debacle, and thought came to mind, let's get some Giannino's. And went ahead and ordered Giannino's. And, anybody can hang a sign out front and sell pizza, but not everybody can do it right. And Giannino's does. And very, very cool. Not only their pizza, but I grabbed some Buckeye Blitz wings that were absolutely phenomenal. So, yeah, you can get pizza, you can get subs, you can get wings, you can get salads. And we appreciate Giannino's partnerships we'll give you quick insight to them here and then talk to Greenie on the flip side.
Hey, you. Yeah, you. I'm a year older now, so Mommy can give me Giannino's pizza. Hey, whoever thought of making a great tasting Giannino's pizza with all these fresh ingredients? They gotta be some kind of genius. More, Mommy.
Every Giannino's pizza is made with fresh dough, delicious tomato sauce without additives or preservatives, and fresh provolone cheese shredded daily. For a location near you, go to Gianninos.com.
You want a piece of me?
I do.
Our thanks to Giannino's for their partnership. Greenie, lots to talk about moving forward, but you had a big weekend as well. You want to touch on the resurgence of mall shows and what you experienced at Great Northern Mall this weekend?
Yeah, it's funny. It used to, mall shows used to be the thing in the 90s, mid 2000s, and because they're so huge and you could put tables everywhere. And then it kind of became something that people didn't want to do because they are long hours. But as of probably the last year, I've seen a lot of resurgence in mall shows, and we've even gotten into that. And we were working on the Great Northern Mall on the west side of Cleveland. And this weekend, I mean, it was terrific. I mean, we had 150 tables. You can't charge admission, so I don't know how many people were there, but I mean, it was packed from open to close, literally both days, Friday, Saturday, from late 8 a.m. or 11 a.m. till 8 p.m. Um, so many people came by and thanked us for doing this show. And we did this with our friend Justin, who runs J&J Sports Cards here in town. But next year we have 5 dates on the calendar, and I've already had calls of when are the dates, how can we book, and it's because these malls are so big, and literally they have everything, right? You have tons of room, you have tons of food, tons of parking, and free admission. Um, kind of cool. I mean, never thought that I would be putting shows on in malls, but it was actually kind of fun.
Yeah, what a time for the hobby. And on this show again, we try and paint the landscape of all the shows, the big shows, even some small shows that are going on around the country. We try and bring you the hobby news. We try and educate. And Greenie, I dug in a little bit today and learned some stuff myself. You want to hear about today I learned?
I do.
So I kind of dug into the origin story of the hobby itself, and really from tobacco to gum. The trading card hobby, as we know, people know pieces and parts of this, as it did I. It's no secret that the hobby really began with the tobacco industry as part of the advertising. The very first printed cards in history were widely considered to be trade cards from the 18th to early 19th century, and they actually served a purpose, not just advertising, but they stiffened the package, particularly of the tobacco and cigarette products, and they quickly evolved as a promotional piece into collectible items due to the colorful lithographs and various subjects. Then in 1886, it was Allen and Ginter, a name that I've become familiar with, but didn't necessarily understand the origin. Allen and Ginter was a tobacco company. They began inserting illustrated pictures and cards into their cigarette packs. They featured athletes and animals and historical figures. It was in 1887, with, among others, Cap Anson was put into that set, and that's widely considered and cited as the first baseball card set. I wondered from there, how did we go from tobacco to gum and getting kids involved? And it really took off in 1933 with the Gowdy Gum Company. They're the ones that flipped the script by packaging baseball cards with their chewing gum, and their sets started featuring the likes of Babe Ruth and Lou Gehrig. And that really marked the first time that cards were marketed directly to kids. So that's circa about 1933. And then, as many of us all know, in 1952, Topps entered the scene with its first major card set that paired cards with gum. And that 1952 set, of course, with Mickey Mantle became an iconic iconic set, and it really changed the hobby forever. So that transition from tobacco to gum wasn't just about packaging. It really was a cultural pivot. And the irony now is you can't even get gum in packs because they damage the cards. So
they do, but I have some packs if you'd like to chew the gum, Jeremy. So you let me know,
yeah,
and I'll get you some of that.
So yeah, that's been kind of a running joke. If you, I dare you to chew the gum these days. But it's kind of amazing. The something that started promoting tobacco ended up becoming a huge hobby for kids, and now it's a generational thing. So um, there you have it. Speaking of news, before we bring in Joe with Hobby News, we do want to thank our sponsor, our presenting sponsor, Collectible on SI, and really. We've talked about the site and everything before, but if you are interested in news, in the hobby, in the educational side of it, you want to check this out. Head over to collectibles or si.com/collectibles. And as you can see, there's stories on new card sales and products. You've got your hobby news, you've got rankings and lists, you've got industry news. One of my favorite pieces of this, though, Greeny, to go down the rabbit hole is the hobby education piece. And so you've got all kinds of articles, whether you're a collector stepping into this world for the first time or you're a seasoned veteran, you're going to learn. And so you've got articles on quirky baseball card sets and things to know and what to do if you're selling a collection. Very, very
I
cool.
read Danny Black's article today on the top 5 athletes in team sports, and then he put their rookie cards in each, and I thought that was pretty interesting. And Danny Black, who's a friend of the show, and Cut the Nonsense. And I'm not saying that because we know him. It was actually a pretty good article, and he had a few others. So, if you go to their website, you can search that and read the few different articles that he's written the last couple of days. And not to spoil them, but they are good articles.
Absolutely. Check out si.com/collectibles. Greeny, this one really actually stood out to me today. This story on the 1989 Upper Deck Ken Griffey rookie card that's exploding in price. And you want to share why that might be timely in our world?
Yeah, well, I mean, it's one of the most iconic cards in history. We actually had that debate at the Great Northern Mall of which pictures are iconic, not price of cards, and we can get into that one night. But we're going to have a gentleman on, Tom Guidman, who was one of the first employees at Upper Deck and helped create this card. I believe he's going to be on in 2 weeks. So we're going to delve into the history of Upper Deck and this Ken Griffey Jr. card, which is really iconic. And he'll take us through the creation of that card and why it was number 1 in the set and some of the other things that Upper Deck did back in 1989.
Very cool. Looking forward to that. Before that happens, we've got a packed shows we talked about tonight. We've got Matt Cook and Dan Bliss coming up. But first, let's get to hobby news with our man out in Arizona. That, of course, is Joe Wismirski from Phoenix Sports Cards and Cut the Nonsense. Good evening, Joe.
Good evening, gentlemen. I'm having a rough weekend. My Tigers eliminated in 15 innings, and then the Lions didn't. Well, they showed up, but we weren't able to figure out the overcoming the 0 penalties against Kansas City. So, and we've been flooding all weekend. Tons of rain out here in the desert, which has led to an overwhelming amount of people in the shop. Wild today.
Well, I don't think there's anything wrong with having a lot of people in the shop. So I guess let it rain or let the dust storms or whatever it is that you guys get out there in Phoenix and get it out of the way before I get there in November.
All right, Joe, what's new?
I think Joe's frozen.
Yeah, he wasn't kidding about having problems. He's got Wi-Fi issues and flooding. So over to you, Joe.
Yeah, crazy. Full bars. This week, we're talking Upper Deck Series 1 hockey 25-26. That's really, I know we don't talk a lot about hockey, but that's really kind of the big hitter coming out this week. You're looking for young guns. You're looking for, the number to 10 young guns. Hockey, the regular season has started, so this product is coming out appropriately with the start of the actual National Hockey League season. So this is kind of the big thing, and then we're on the heels, Greeny, of top flagship basketball, and that's what everyone really is talking about. So
are we 10
I don't
days
mean
out?
to kind of nudge hockey, but we're going to kind of get hockey moving here, and Topps flagship basketball next week is going to be huge.
I can't wait. if it's affordable, I might open a box. don't
I
think
can't hear
can
you,
do it.
Greeny. I'm sorry.
That's interesting. But what I was saying, and if you can read my lips, I can't wait to open a box of Topps basketball if it's affordable.
Well, if this had subtitles on it, Greeny, I would be killing it right now. What I can tell you, though, is with the emergence of having an incredible 62-page checklist in Topps flagship, you're going to have some serious veteran autos that are just going to do absolutely amazing things in the hobby. Also, you have a rookie class that, for the first time in a while, and all with the exception of baseball, you're going to have licensed rookie autos, and Cooper Flag being the head of this class this year. So everyone is incredibly excited for the release of this product.
Yeah, it's something to look forward to. The licensing, the autographs. First LeBron James, Los Angeles Lakers, maybe even Miami Heat autographs.
Some of these autographs too, Greeny, I mean, they look to be on card for the most part, which is, that's a collector's dream. A lot of hardcore collectors are really into the on card autograph. So having the ability to get potentially a LeBron, a Steph Curry, Cooper Flag, all of these. And again, like I mentioned, 62-page checklist. It's a huge checklist, a lot of opportunity to hit in that. And then the following week after that, we're talking update baseball. So it is going to be a packed month of October. And this is as Panini continues to release football product throughout. I know the Donruss tins do come out this week. The Donruss holiday tins, they've been kind of released throughout a little bit here and there. But you can go downtown hunting looking in those tins.
Well, listen, Joe, we appreciate it. Whatever weather you're having in Phoenix is making it impossible for you to hear. So maybe that's something different. So listen, we appreciate it. We can't wait to see you and talk to you next week. And I'll be in Phoenix in November. We can check you out at 59th and Thunderbird in Glendale, which is close to Phoenix.
Correct.
And then Cut the Nonsense. You will be on 8 p.m. Eastern time on the Sports Cards Nonsense Network.
Yeah, I get a little fired up. We talk about Topps flagship basketball, especially because this is a product that came out at a price of $109 for everyone that they could go on Topps site, and it sold out real quick. And a couple of big influencers are now upset that they think flippers are trying to push that product to a new high. But those influencers, they have a hand in it as well too. So.
All right, Joe, thank you. We appreciate it. We'll cut the nonsense. See you later. He didn't hear me, but you heard me and he figured it out. That's pretty good at something, right?
And hey, this is a live show. We signed up for this. Sometimes it goes really well. Sometimes you have connections problems, but we're talking to people across the entire country and trying to make it work. So our thanks to Joe for joining us for Hobby News as he does. As Greeny said, you can find him on Cut the Nonsense along with Danny Black and Mike Gio, typically every Wednesday. Those come out around 8 p.m. You find that on the YouTube channel on Sports Cards Nonsense. And we'll keep it rolling here, Greeny. As we said, we got a couple of great guests tonight. We'll be talking to Dan Bliss coming up from Front Row Card Show. But before that, we're going to catch up with Matt Cook of Underdog Collectibles. He's a co-founder of that property in Knoxville, a neighborhood card shop and rising force in the hobby world, alongside his partner, Scott. Matt has built Underdog into a trusted destination for live breaks, trade nights, and autograph events. He's blending old school collecting passion with modern community engagement. A PSA authorized dealer and longtime hobbyist, Matt brings deep insight into both the business and culture of sports cards. And with that, we will welcome in Matt Cook.
Matt, good evening.
Good evening, sir. What an introduction.
Hey, that's what we do here. We introduce people the way they should be, and we've known each other a long time, so it's been good time getting you on this show, especially since you are in Knoxville, but I'm coming down to Nashville, and pretty big show coming up this week.
100%.
So take us back to before you even got into owning a card shop. I remember you used to come around to card shows years, and you're actually really big at and check out my cards back in the time, and I know that you still do that now. But how did you get to owning a card shop?
Yeah, I mean, I guess probably starting in that 2009, 2010 range, I was looking for anywhere I could find to be actively involved in the hobby while also maintaining my law practice. Uh, like you pointed out, I was setting up at the national and some of the other big national level shows. At the time, I really wanted to own a card shop. The margins on everything were just so tight. I just couldn't come up with a scenario where I thought that it was at all viable. Uh, Fortunately, since then, the market has changed pretty dramatically. And obviously, I guess it was with my former partner in 2019, we decided to start breaking mainly as an entertainment avenue, another way to be more involved. Then it went so well, we decided we would give the shop idea, give it a chance. And like I said, it was one of those things for both of us had always been a childhood dream that no one ever expects to actually come true.
Matt, you've cultivated a strong local community and online community. What does the name Underdog mean to you? What is it like being part of the Underdogs? And is there a correlation, a connection in your story to what you've cultivated in this space?
I guess the very simple answer there is just a love for the hobby. We are so collector driven. I think so many places have used the for collectors by collectors, but that is so driven on what it is.
Yeah, I know that when I see your table, I know that people come, especially collecting, and especially Tennessee. The vols are like nothing we've ever seen down in that area, especially being in Knoxville. I know you guys have a relationship with On It, and they make the vols cards. What's it like in that city, collecting wise, and during the football season?
I think, given I realize you're not especially far from Ohio State, but as far as the South as a whole, college football is unexplainable to the rest of the world. People live, eat, and breathe Tennessee football here. I need to pull the numbers and go through and see how much Tennessee football we go through, but we go through an unreal amount of the On It Tennessee football cards. But it is a life for people here.
Matt, navigating the market can be challenging for experienced collectors, let alone new people in the hobby. You've got grading, you've got price swings and new releases. How do you help collectors make smart decisions, both whether it's in your live breaks or in the shop itself?
I think we focus on education. Just anything we can to both provide insight to what cards have done historically, but more than anything is kind of matching people with what they like and what they enjoy. If people stick with what they enjoy, then it's always going to be a win.
So we know that this weekend is the big show in Nashville. You guys are pretty much front and center when you walk in the door. What can people expect to see at your booth? What kind of things do you bring to the show?
Well, it seems almost every time I will change it up pretty dramatically because we also put on trade night on this time. It will be on Friday night. I will bring a significant amount of wax primarily for that event, but I will also have it at the table, whatever is left. This time, just because of the nature of how things have been going, I will be doing a ton of buying. The shop is getting low on a lot of things and in dire need of rotating out some inventory. Will be a range of singles, a little bit of high end and a little bit of medium, but and there will be a ton of On It products. That was a great one to bring up earlier because for the first time ever, I've bought an assortment of that. I'll have everything from Ohio State to Alabama. I can't remember all the other teams, but I'll have the On It wax for a number of teams.
Yeah, I know I've met those guys several times, especially at the national, and the NIL it's important to all of us. I mean, we have a little bit in the space, not quite nearly the amount that On It has, and the terrific job that they do. But it's great that these collectors are able to get their hands on real licensed autographs and even base cards is what's On It's doing. I know you have a relationship with them. What do you see the future for that?
On the collector end, that product is absolutely unbelievable to me. Yeah, it gives people a chance to have a part of Tennessee football, not just the superstars of the superstars, like Bowman Chrome that's coming out. I'm sure we'll have Tennessee's quarterback in it, but I believe that On It this year has nearly 25 different autograph guys, a 30+ person checklist. You get to actually, the fan base gets to engage with the team as a whole, not just the superstars.
Matt, the underdog ethos in your name suggests rooting for either overlooked or underappreciated. What's an underrated card or set or player you think deserves more love in the hobby?
Oh, that one I did not come at all prepared for. I am just going to cheat and go with my PC, which is Mark McGuire stuff. He is so underappreciated compared to how important he was to saving baseball post strike. So, like I said, I'll just cheat and go PC there.
Good answer.
Yeah,
great answer.
It is, but I do know that you are always a collector of unusual. Whether it's the Maria Sharapova Sports Illustrated card, or I know that every time I see you have something different, sports related, but it's not really a sports card, right?
100%. I absolutely love any of that, any of the stuff that is not mainstream, and there's not much of it to go around.
Are you bringing any of that to the show, or does that stay at home?
I've sadly gotten to the point almost all of that is PC. It is rare that I get multiple of the super rare items that I get to share with anyone. And I've cultivated enough people around me now that if I get enough to share, they usually don't last long in the shop.
What's one of the coolest things that's ever walked into your shop?
Oh, man. Wow, I am super not prepared there.
That's all right. Like something game used, Tennessee, something, Peyton Manning. There has to be something cool Peyton Manning that's walked in.
Well, if we're going to go there, Peyton Manning walking in would be the coolest thing to walk into the shop.
That's one of the coolest things.
He brought his son in, I guess, probably a year and a half, 2 years ago now, out of the middle of nowhere, just on I believe it was a Monday afternoon, 100% unexpected.
Hey,
I love that.
Listen, no call, no warning, just Peyton Manning coming into the shop. That's great.
And he had dropped Marshall off for 10 or 15 minutes, let him go wander on his own before he came in to finish up getting what he wanted.
Very cool.
It is. I've heard that he does collect a little bit, right?
And what shocked me the most is he probably ended up getting 20, 30 of his own rookie cards. One of the few things he looked at was the Peyton Manning stack. He left with rookie cards and a downtown.
Okay. Yeah.
Very cool. Matt, before we let you go, the National coming up is a home state show. It's not quite a home court show, but for those who have not attended or been there, what kind of advice or suggestions can you make for coming into the city and making the most of that experience?
Well, Nashville to me is such an easy city, usually super affordable on the hotel end. There's too much stuff to do away from the show, but I mean that show has gotten to the point it is a must-do experience. I think it's hitting right at 1,000 tables. And with the 3 days it is open, there is not enough time to fully take in and appreciate everything there is to see. I'm such a card nerd that that's all I want to do. But Nashville is a wild town as well. But that show is phenomenal to check out if you haven't.
Yeah, we can't wait to be down there. I know that we're heading down Thursday. We'll get set up and have the show all 3 days. I look forward to catching up. We'll find some time to sit down, whether it's at the show or maybe after the show somewhere. So listen, Matt, we appreciate it. Where can people find Underdog Collectibles in Knoxville?
We are right off of Interstate 640 on Western Avenue.
Perfect.
Thanks so much for having me. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, Matt, we appreciate it. Always look forward to seeing your table and what you guys have and chatting a bit. So we will see you this weekend in Nashville.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Cool.
Thanks, Matt. Greeny,
Yeah,
he might have been stumped at first, but that's an all-time answer. What is the coolest thing that's ever walked in your shop? And Peyton Manning.
Yeah, right. I mean, what else can you say? It was there Peyton Manning collectible. Well, no, Peyton Manning actually walked in
Literally
our shop.
Peyton Manning.
Yeah, very
Speaking
cool.
of cool stuff, Greeny, we want to tell everybody about sport card auctions and sports card consignments. You can check them out at www.sportcardauctions.com. If you are looking to turn your collection into serious cash, Sport Card Auctions can make it simple for you. They've got professional authentication, grading, and auction services. You just have to ship your cards to them. They will handle everything else. Their expert team handles the photography to listing to grading to shipping. They've got over 15 years of experience and a 99% customer satisfaction rating. And Greeny himself uses Sport Card Auction, so no better testimonial for that. What insight can you give people about Sport Card Auctions?
You know, not only is it easy to use and to send your cards there and get them up and get it listed, it's also a good place to buy cards. So I bid every week. All their auctions are on eBay. You can find the link on their website, but you can also find it directly on eBay and search the amount of cards. I mean, and yeah, they have a lot of the high end cards, but they have middle of the road. They have price points for everybody. So it's really cool. I've been doing a lot of bidding on a lot of auction sites lately, and he's one of my favorite ones to sell and to buy from.
Very cool. Yeah, our thanks to Dave and his team at Sport Card Auctions. Greeny, a lot of stuff to get to tonight on the card show live stage. We're going to take people around the country and culminate that with an interview with Dan Bliss. So we will see you on the flip side on Card Show Live.
Yeah, welcome on into this edition of Card Show Live. And boy, we have some big ones this week. We already went through the Nashville Card Show of 1,000 tables in Nashville this Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So to not take you through that again, but wanted to tell you we'll be set up there with 2 tables right next to our friend Mike with Vintage Card Collectibles. So you can get the best of both worlds when you come to that show. The second show on the list is Chantilly. And of course, you have to bring that show up. One of the mainstays, which has been for years and years, and I used to attend this show, set up at this show when Marco ran it. And we might be seeing the end of it as we know it, Jeremy, as the building has been purchased, I believe, by an IKEA. So I don't know what the future holds for it. The show will go on somewhere. And, as we've had
the future holds meatballs.
Yeah, right. That's right. It'll be in a different location, but while it's in the town of Chantilly, I think that you can use that name anywhere, and you can call it the Chantilly Show in DC or Baltimore or somewhere. That branded city and show runs together. But anyway, it's a massive show, probably in the 400 to 500 table range. I know they do booths there. In an autograph lineup that will rival almost any show, including the National. I saw Rob Gronkowski is going to be there, and I don't know that he has ever been at a public signing before. So if you're anywhere near that check them out. Dulles Airport, Chantilly, Virginia. It's just a stone's throw away. Great show. And I know that our friend Thomas Fisher will be set up there this weekend. So if you're heading out that way, check that out. Alex Tressler will be there, amongst others. Moving on to Columbia, South Carolina. And our friend James at Sports Wax Promotions has another show, 250 tables. I know that our friend Sasquatch, Ryan, will be at that show. So make sure if you're in that area, I believe 250 tables, Columbia, South Carolina. If you haven't been down there, I mean, you want to talk about nice weather, that's a show to hit. And then for our small show of the week, Jeremy, I wanted to talk about a show in Phoenix, Arizona. Mike Vecchiola has been running this show. It's probably the longest standing, probably not even probably, it definitely is the longest running show in the Valley. Probably since the 80s. Jay Mankey, a friend of the show, will be set up there. It's been in several different hotels and moved around. I think now it's at a senior living center, but it's probably in the 40 to 50 table range. But I'm going to tell you, there's some powerful stuff there. And, Phoenix is a destination city, so you're always going to get people that are in town that hit these shows. So make sure you check that out. The Northwest Valley Coin and Card Show there. Mike Vecchiola, terrific guy, and he does a lot of coins too. So if you go to that show, you might see some gold and silver coins, and definitely hit up Jay Mankey, check out his vintage, and he'll have a lot of the 90s insert stuff that we like. So that takes you kind of around the country, and you can go from the West Coast to the East Coast. There is no shortage of tables. I think we just ran through 3 shows that probably have close to 2,000 tables. So
yeah, you've got shows across the country and all the way out west, where we're going to talk to our featured guest tonight, Dan Bliss with Front Row Card Show. He's got a number of shows coming up, and Dan is the producer and founder of Front Row Card Show. It's one of the fastest growing collectible events in the Western U.S. with over 30 successful shows under his belt. Dan has venues from Las Vegas to Pasadena, Portland, Phoenix. He's got Seattle and Tacoma coming up October 25th through 26th that we'll get into. Lifelong collector who began hosting shows to pay his way through college, allegedly. We'll find that out for sure. Dan now brings together thousands of enthusiasts across generations, curating experiences that blend nostalgia, commerce, and communities. So very excited to talk to a guy doing big things out west. We will welcome in Dan Bliss.
Hey guys,
Dan, how are you?
I'm good. Happy to be here.
Good. We appreciate you joining us on the heels of a big show that you have coming up in Tacoma. 400 tables, I see, right?
Yeah. We've been growing in every market we're in, really. But our Tacoma show's really strong, really strong.
Dan, I mentioned you've got shows. Seattle, Las Vegas, Pasadena, Portland, Phoenix, San Diego. Is there a difference? Are you finding in these different regions or markets, are there things that are different within each market, or is the collectible industry as a whole just a madhouse right now?
The industry is really strong right now. I mean, everyone knows this, There are certain differences in different markets. I mean, I can certainly sense some markets really have pent up demand. So when we come to a market where there's maybe fewer shows, our show takes off and it explodes really quickly. So, I mean, the market's really strong everywhere. So it's, there's not a whole lot of differences between the market other than, whether or not there's other shows going on in the market and such. Most of the markets we're in, there's not a tremendous amount of competition for big shows. Most of our shows are 400 to 600 tables. And, and we'll host shows 2 to 4 times a year in each market. So for the size of the shows that we organize, we see strong demand in every market.
So let's go back to where you started. You said that you did cards, put yourself through college, and I know that you're from Cleveland or from the Cleveland area. So take us back to the beginning. How did you get started in this business? Where were you, and how did you get from Cleveland to the West Coast?
I was buying and selling cards back when I was in high school, and then I went to college, and I was already a dealer at shows back then. And my sophomore year of college, I was at Ohio State, and a buddy and I decided on a whim to organize our own show at Ohio State. We organized it at the Union Building, and we did a few shows there, and we ended up doing a few other shows in Columbus, and I personally started organizing shows also in Cleveland. I did one in Pittsburgh, and that paid my way through college. But it wasn't just the shows. I don't make a lot of money off the shows, especially back then. They were just small shows. But the buying and selling of cards, I would travel. Like, I would drive to Chicago, I would drive to New York, if I wasn't doing a show in Cleveland or Columbus.
Dan, we might have to talk offline. I have a feeling we were at The Ohio State University right around the same time and may have crossed paths there as well. But I did notice within your shows, cards, comics, collectibles, we've seen a lot of that out here in the Midwest as well, where maybe as early as 3 years ago, 5 years ago, there wasn't a lot of crossover. These were kind of compartmentalized. Certainly Pokemon and TCG were separate from sports cards. Can you talk a little bit about that evolution, where there's these lines are continually blurred and blended to where now these shows are just massive experiences for any kind of collector?
Well, I had experience with that even in the early 90s. In fact, I organized a couple of shows that were cards and comics. I remember the first one I did like that was in Akron. I organized a show down there that had cards and comics, and it went well. So when I got back into the hobby a number of years ago and started Front Row, I felt that it would be good to allow comics as well. Comics, frankly, are just a small part of our show. I mean, we're called Front Row Card Show, so it's not a big element. However, as you know, there's a lot of non-sports in shows, certainly Pokemon, but Marvel cards, Lorcana is very popular. And even old movie cards, and Star Wars and things like that. So there's a lot of crossover in that regard, and there's a big segue between sports cards, pop culture, and movies, as well as comics, and then TCG. So, I feel like there's a nice transition between, pop culture to sports that all are interrelated. And certainly there's a lot of vendors that get into all of that sort of thing. And at our shows, we have a lot of vendors that are into sports as well as TCG, as well as non-sports, and some even have comics mixed into there. They do a little bit of everything. And obviously there's a lot of vendors and dealers who are exclusive to one thing.
We've been embracing the Pokemon and the TCG world. We've started one of our shows, we call it the TC Greeny Pokemon Only. But it was interesting when I made this post last night that you're going to be on the show. One of our Pokemon vendors sent me a text and said, "Do you know how I get in to the Front Row show? That is like the holy grail of Pokemon shows."
Well, it's the case with sports too. I mean, we have long waiting lists for every show, so it is tough, and I don't know what to say other than to tell people to add their names to our wait lists. And, because we have long wait lists, typically the best way in is to make yourself available if we get a cancellation at last minute, because that's typically the best way for vendors to get into our shows, just because our wait lists are long.
It's a good problem to have, I suppose. And people will look at that and say, oh yeah, shows are sold out. It's all great. But the reality is most people don't realize how much work and blood and sweat and tears actually go into cultivating these shows. And there are a lot of stakeholders, Dan. I'm certainly preaching to the choir. You're balancing sponsors and vendors and venues in multiple cities. What is your approach to not necessarily managing all those stakeholders, but serving them in the best way possible and putting out the best presentation ultimately for the consumers that are a big part of that stakeholder group?
Well, I'm a collector and a dealer myself. So, I know what I would want to see at a show. So if I'm attending a show, there's certain things I look for, and I'm certainly looking for a good mix of different things at a show. I'm looking for, really strong, vendors who have really good quality stuff. But you're looking for, things you don't always see every day. If all the vendors are the same, that makes the show a little bit boring. So, we try to go for a good mix of different things at the show. And, the other thing is that I'm a dealer at every one of our shows. I sell vintage sports cards at every show. It's what I do. And that's actually the origin of how Front Row came to be. So, my interests are aligned with all the other dealers at the show. So as a result, we work hard to put on a good show, and I have an interest as a dealer at the show to make sure it's a good one.
Yeah, that's interesting. It's kind of part of our philosophy, right? I mean, we set up at the shows. Jeremy kind of walks around and does the production of the show, but yeah, we're there as vendors and as show producers. So it takes a lot. So do you then also have a chance to get to walk around and kind of, not just buy and sell, but kind of just admire the show?
It's tough. I mean, I'm fortunate that my wife and I started the business, and the deal was when we started it that I get to be a dealer at the show. And she didn't know what she was signing on for when she agreed to that. But as a result, she does a lot of the problem solving and dealing with situations and taking care of customers and things like that oftentimes as an organizer, that's something that would normally be on my shoulders. But she really takes it off my shoulders during the show. And we also, we have a really solid team. So to answer your question about getting around, sometimes it's tough. Sometimes it's tough for me to walk around the show because if we're busy, I don't often have time to walk around the show and schmooze or to shop myself, So I try to escape every now and then. I get someone to watch my table for a little bit and sneak out and walk around a bit and say hi to people. Usually I get my best chance to say hi to people, before and after the show. And then sometimes I'm like one of the last to pack up because I'm busy chatting with people.
It does take a village for sure to pull these off. It takes good teammates, partners, those stakeholders. You've been doing this a long time, Dan, you and your group. Are there some favorite stories that come to mind about some of the people that have been with you a long time, the dealers or vendors that maybe started out, and you can think back how scared or intimidated they might have been that first time, but they've really grown with you and grown as a part of your community. Is there anything that resonates along those lines?
We've got a good number of dealers who've been with us since the beginning. Our first show was only 65 tables. So we've had a good number of people that like that. And it's funny. So you're right. Some of them are nervous the first time they're set up, and which I can't relate to because I started doing it when I was a teenager. So so it's so funny when I hear people say, "Oh, I'm a little nervous. It's my first show." So we've had a good number of people. We've had people who started at our show and they now physically own a shop, and so we're real proud of that they've graduated up to owning their own card shop, whereas they started just selling at a show. And I think that's one of the best things about it is, and we organize so many shows now that we literally have vendors with us who make a living doing our shows, and they will literally travel the country with our shows. So when we're doing 2 shows a month and they're all over the country, there's people literally, that's their job. They literally buy cards, sort cards, organize their inventory during the week, and then they come out to our shows on the weekends.
Yeah, looking at that calendar, put that back up, Haley, if you can, please. So you go from Seattle to Vegas, Pasadena, Portland, Phoenix, San Diego. When is there time to relax and then kind of enjoy this? Or is there not, is that part of it, right? You get to travel and see these different cities, right?
We try, we work really hard, and we've got a team that does this, but it's nonstop. We've had a couple occasions where we have, 4 shows in 5 weeks, and when we have a stretch like that, it's there's not a lot of free time, frankly, because we come back from one show and we already better be halfway packed for the next one.
How does the 2026 calendar look for you already?
It's filling up. And in fact, one of our challenges is going to be in January. It's going to be the first time we're going to have 2 shows the same weekend. So our January 17th and 18th show in San Diego, we've also got a show that same weekend in Tacoma. So we have one in the Pacific Northwest and one in the Southwest. And some of our vendors have to decide which one they're going to go to, because they can't do both. And then we have a number that have already told us they're going to do both. They're going to find a way. They want to do both. And okay, if you can find a way, if you have team members or employees that can divide, and you have enough inventory. You got to have inventory to be able to divide among two events.
As a show producer, that is kind of a challenge, and one that we have too. It's finding the dates that match up with the venues in whichever city. And well, we're in 2 different states, but we're in 4 and 5 locations, here in Ohio, and it's trying to match up the venues. So yeah, how do you guys kind of look at that? You're having 2 shows on the same weekend. How do you go through that calendar and kind of figure out where do we need to go, and do you have to sacrifice a show sometimes?
Well, all of our shows are pretty big, so it limits us in terms of venues and availability and things like that. We don't want to bounce around between venues either. So oftentimes we're at the mercy of the venues in terms of what dates they have available, and we don't have many alternatives depending on the city. So sometimes we have to make hard decisions, and you're right. There's times where we have to say, okay, well, we may not be able to do a show in that city. We try to space our shows out. We can't do monthly shows. We won't do a show even within 60 days. Because a big show, you just can't have them too frequently. It just is. Our shows have to be a special event in each market, and people have to really look forward to them, because we have a lot of attendees that travel to our shows. Big buyers travel to our shows, the grading companies, and then of course the dealers who travel. It's we can't do shows every 2 months in different cities. So for us, it's really about spacing them in a way, and then making each one a special event, making sure it's big, making sure it's packed, big crowds, and unique vendors and grading companies at every show. So those are the things we really work hard to achieve.
Dan, I saw a stat today from GenRate that non-sports single sales last month in September on eBay totaled $92 million. That's a 4% increase over August. By 2030, I believe some of the projections have the collectibles industry at well over $420 billion. those numbers are all good and well. Is there any trepidation or concern or nerves that, you know, where is the end of this? Like the growth has been unbelievable. Shows are continuing to grow and grow. Is this a case of you know, everybody's getting it while the getting's good, or is this sustainable over long term?
Well, that's a good question. Nobody knows. You know, we can all speculate. I really like the Fanatics attitude, the Topps attitude of 10xing the market, and that relates to sports cards. And it's certainly an ambitious goal, and certainly something that, you know, perhaps it could be achievable, you know. So we don't know if we're, you know, on the beginning of a big upswing, or there's some people who think it's a bubble right now because the market's so strong. So it's really hard to predict where it's heading. I think that there's always going to be trends, things coming and going in interest level. The nice thing about the hobby and the nice thing about shows is, you know, if admission prices are low, or in some cases free, and you do a good job organizing an event, I mean, this is really just a form of entertainment. And if you know, this is a leisure activity for most people, collecting. Now, there's certainly a lot of people making a living off of it. There's a lot of people buying and selling cards. Either they're a flipper, they're like an entrepreneurial teenager or 20-something who's buying and selling cards and maybe speculating on who the next big player is. There's a lot of that. And so, you know, but at the heart of it, it still comes down to, this is a hobby for most people, and it's discretionary spending, it's leisure. And as long as you provide an affordable, fun experience for attendees, you know, the trends can come and go, but it's still going to be a choice for entertainment. And whether that be, you know, different types of collectibles, you know, whether that be TCG, whether that be sports, whether it's all of it, you know, I think we're gonna, you know, we'll just go with organizing really good shows, and that's really all we can do. We can't, you know, it doesn't matter what we speculate, you know, a year or 2, 5, 10 years from now. All we can do is run great shows, and that's really what matters.
Yeah, no, that's great advice. That's a great thought, and really, that's right. The next show is you're hoping to make it the best show, because you don't know what it's going to be like after that. So, and speaking of which, so you have one in Tacoma, the 25th and 26th. What can people expect to see there? How many tables? Where is the show at?
Which is a great venue. It's really a cool venue. In fact, it's on a hill. It's almost like San Francisco. It's such a steep hill, and the convention space is on the 5th floor. And what's cool about it is you've got this amazing view of Mount Rainier out the window. It's absolutely stunning, especially in the morning. So, you know, all I can say is it's going to be packed. Our ticket sales are super strong. Beckett, CGC will both be there. JSA will be there for autographs. It's going to be a really big show. Then after that, a couple weeks, we're in Las Vegas, and that's our biggest show. It's 600 tables in Las Vegas on November 8th and 9th, and that's just going to be a massive show. It's a really strong show. And, you know, Roth Cards bought a Kobe card at our last show for $110,000. Cards HQ was at our show, and they bought a 52 top set for $300,000. So it's really cool when big deals like that happen. And I know that Golden was there, and they made some really good pickups. So, you know, we get you know, pretty big names in the hobby come to our shows, and it's fun when exciting things like that happen.
Absolutely. Well, Dan, we can't thank you enough for joining us this evening. We wish you the best of luck. We know how much hard work it goes into pulling these things off, and you're right there at the top. And we wish you continued success.
Great. Thank you both, and thank you for having me on. I appreciate it.
Yep. Thanks, Dan. We'll catch up again soon.
All right. Take care.
Thanks.
Our thanks to Dan Bliss, Front Row Card Show, as well as Matt Cook from Underdog Collectibles. Thank you to Joe Wismierski, Phoenix Sports Cards. Hopefully all goes well this coming week for them. You can catch him on Cut the Nonsense. Our thanks to Collectibles on SI, to Sport Card Nonsense, Network, to Giannino's, to Sport Card Auctions, and most of all, to all of you continuing to tune in every week on any of the platforms. And then you can catch the replay of this show on YouTube, either on Greeny Sports Cards or Sports Cards Nonsense. Greeny, thank you for allowing us to do this week over week. May the cards forever be in your favor.
Yeah, and they will be in your favor tonight at 9 p.m. Eastern time on eBay Live with Alex. So he has a lot of new stuff that we've picked up lately. So make sure you head to eBay Live, Greeny Sports Cards, and check out all the auctions tonight and again on Thursday night. So we appreciate it. We'll catch you guys next week. Have a good night, everybody.